Hey everyone, it's Jacob with another daily vlog, trying to enjoy this wonderful Sunday here in the Bay Area. Sunshine, around 70 degrees, trying not to do too much work today, and hope you're trying not to do too much work as well. I actually realized that I've been getting a lot of comments and questions about specific topics, so before I jump into what I wanted to talk about today, if there's something that you want me to cover, I mean, I have a lot of opinions on things. I have a lot of things that I can share as far as what I've done and what I've learned. So if there's something that you want me to cover, send me an email, jacob@thefutureorganization.com, or you can leave me a comment in the post area wherever you're watching this video, and maybe it'll be something that I'll address in an upcoming video. But today I wanted to talk about a comment that I got, interestingly enough, also from a YouTube video. And this comment was from somebody who told me that they don't like their leader and wanted to know what to do. And I wanted to go through kind of a couple different scenarios and options for what you can do. And, you know, there are a lot of variables that can be at play here for why you don't like a leader. So I think it all comes down to four things that you can basically do. So option number one, you don't like your leader or you don't like your job, you do nothing. Okay, option number one, you leave everything as is. You don't have any conversations with anybody, you don't try to switch teams, you just kind of leave everything as is and just kind of tough it out, see what happens. Option number two is you can try to have a discussion with your leader, and not an antagonistic discussion, but a little bit of a proactive one, a positive one, and say, look, I really enjoy the organization I'm a part of. I want to do as good of a job for you as I can, but I feel like perhaps we're not connecting on certain things, and I really just wanted to spend some time with you to understand what I can do better, how we can communicate better so that we can build a better relationship together. I can promise you no leader is going to say no to that unless they're a complete jackass, right? And if, yeah, hopefully they won't say no to that. So that's option number two. Option number three is you try to switch teams. You try to stay within the organization, but you try to go be part of another team. And I've certainly seen those things happen before, and I'm sure, those things work out well, right? You're part of a team, you don't get along with folks, you don't like the organization, or you don't like the work that you're doing or the leader, but you like the company, so you just want to move to another team. That happens all the time. And option number four, and this is something that a CEO recently told me, and it's a pretty cool story. So I was interviewing a CEO not that long ago, and I asked him, I said, have you ever had a time during your career where you were working for somebody and you didn't like them? You didn't like the leader. They were rude to you. They were taking credit for your work. They, whatever it is, you just didn't like it. And he started laughing, and he said, oh man, I had a couple of those in my time. And he was telling me this story about one person he worked with, and this leader that he was working with would scream at him, would curse at him, would take credit for his work, would do all sorts of just terrible, really shady things that no leader should ever be doing. And I asked this guy, I said, man, what did you do? That sounds like a terrible environment. Why would you want to be a part of this kind of a company? And the guy said, you know what I did is I kept doing excellent work. I kept going above and beyond, doing great work. He put all of his energy, all of his frustrations, all of his focus into doing great work. And even though he would do great work, his leader would still say, that was so-so, blah, blah, blah. But he knew it was great work, and other people started to take notice of the great work that he was doing. And guess what happened over time? I mean, it did take some time, but eventually, this person who I interviewed, this CEO, got promoted over his leader. He became his leader's boss. And that guy became furious, right? He was shocked and appalled, couldn't believe it. But I thought that's a really interesting story because sometimes we do get put into tough situations where we are a part of teams or organizations or projects where sometimes we feel helpless, we feel frustrated, we feel like there's not much we can do. But what I learned from this CEO is that you can always choose to focus on the work. The quality of work that you deliver is always a choice. It's, you could put in the time, the effort, the energy into doing really amazing work. And it's hard to do that. because you don't feel like you are supported. It takes a lot. You got to have thick skin. It takes a lot of courage to do it, but it also takes a lot of confidence knowing that, you know what, that's okay, but I know that other people are going to notice the amazing work that I'm doing, and eventually my time is going to come. So that's another, I think, fourth and very interesting approach that I've seen some people do. And actually, a lot of the CEOs who I interviewed, whether it's on my podcast or for the book, the big consistent thing that they've told me is that there's no substitute for hard work. They have all worked very, very hard, putting in the time and the effort and the energy, even in very tough circumstances where they didn't like the people that they were working with or the people that they were working for. But as I mentioned, the effort that you put in, the quality of work that you do is a choice. That is something that you can directly control. And so the trick here is, if you're working for a leader who you don't like or you don't get along with, don't let that be an excuse for you to check out and to deliver low quality work. Because when that happens, then you start to get into problems of, performance, getting fired, getting potentially laid off, and then it becomes a disaster. But if you don't like the leader and you still decide to put in the time, the effort into doing outstanding work, you can bet that other people are going to notice around you. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. Again, the choice is completely up to you. In my situation, when I had these terrible jobs working for other people and I didn't get along with leaders, the path that I took was to quit working for anybody else and just to go off and work for myself. But again, I was young, I was single, I didn't have a mortgage, I didn't have car payments, I was in that situation to do it. So it's really easy to take advice from other people, but you need to do ultimately what makes the most sense for you. And those 4 options that I provided, I think, are the ones that are the most practical and scalable and the ones that make the most amount of sense. The biggest mistake, though, that I think you can make is to do nothing. Okay, so that's the big lesson from all of this, is do something. Pick one of those options, come up with another option if you have one. But if you're in a situation where you are unhappy with something, I think the worst thing that you can do is to just take no action and just let that kind of eat at you and eat at your soul. That's going to just cause long-term damage. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully you get some value out of that. Again, I've seen all of those approaches work well, and the approach that I took based on what I've shared. So let me know if you have an experience with that. Leave a comment below, and I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever in the world you are. Look at this beautiful sunshine. See you later.